Okay, we're back. I'm here with Justin Segal, president of Boxer Properties. Thank you so much for joining us here at Conference Live.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so everyone wants to know what you have to think about a couple of themes that keep coming up in today's conference and this week's conference. And I must be honest, that people throw around these buzzwords, and I'm getting very little actual, practical, usable examples of how they use these buzzwords. And I know that will not be the case with you because of what you and Boxer do. So, the two words, can you guess what they are?
Artificial intelligence
And?
blockchain.
No.
There you go.
So everyone's talking about those two things. But it seems to be that they're talking about them in a very futuristic, well, we don't know. We assume it will be a disruptor. But that is not the case with you at Boxer. You actually are currently employing both of these technologies on a practical level day to day. Is that correct?
Correct.
So which one should we slice off first, and what can you tell me about how you are taking advantage of these?
Well, let's start with artificial intelligence, because I think that is in some ways a profoundly important development in our industry and frankly in every industry. And I think there'll be a distinction made in the very near future between companies that can leverage these kinds of approaches and ones that can't. And so when I use the term artificial intelligence, what I'm referring to is kind of an assortment of things. This could range from a simple algorithm to some kind of robotic process automation method. It could be full-on machine learning. It could be a bot. It's anything that we think of as a non-human actor that is adding value to information. And largely the work that we do in our day-to-day is knowledge work. So we could think of knowledge work as improving information. And whatever it is that we're doing, if we're not swinging a hammer or out there using our hands for something, is we're probably knowledge workers.
Okay.
As information moves through the company, it gets improved by different people. And some people improve it in one way. Maybe you're in accounting and you take a invoice and you translate it into a journal entry, and somebody else might be approving something, but we're just improving information. And so what we've looked at Boxer is, now that we have good information and we can traffic it through our organization, how can we use non-human actors to improve it in ways that a person could not do? And that's been a big focus of ours over the last year, and those efforts are starting to really pay off.
So that's great. So what's an example of a non-human actor taking information and improving it for Boxer?
So a very simple one, for example, could be an algorithm, and we've been doing this one for a while, that looks at our customers, it looks at all the information that we have about the customers, and it puts them in order of who we should speak to when.
Okay.
And we then use that information to help the property manager set up their list of appointments and calls so they know who to go and talk to. And I think that typically we would assume that a property manager would know the customers and know the tenants and know what's going on. But it's a lot of information to keep track of, and if you haven't been in that property for a while, maybe you don't know everybody as well. So what this will do is allow that manager to not have to worry about those things, and it takes into account 10 or 12 different data points that we already have within our data set. So that would be a very simple approach. Something that might be a little bit more complicated is to go outside of our ecosystem and take advantage of some of the systems that are available as a service from places like Microsoft or Amazon Web Services or IBM's Watson. So a pilot that we're working on right now is to use Watson's news discovery service to take information about what's happening about our customers and deliver certain pieces of it to the managers or to the leasing staff who's working with them. And that way what we can do is, even though we have a constantly changing customer base, even though people roll into different assignments and maybe they move from one property to another, is they're always going to get a stream of relevant information about the people that are currently within their properties.
Right. So they can, even if it's something as small as congratulating them on a company's anniversary or a merger or something like that, it makes that contact much more high touch, right?
That's right. So we use these kinds of things to do things that seem somewhat mundane, like balance workloads or decide which properties or which vendors need attention. But we can also use it to do things that are much more interesting, like that, where we're finding patterns, we're delivering information that we never could do manually.
Interesting. Now, that's artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Now, we talked a little bit about blockchain.
Yes.
How are you using it?
Well, so blockchain is fascinating, and just for the sake of the conversation, let me say that you could use blockchain for a lot of different things. We could use it to store information. We could use it to transact or transfer rights from one person to another. But a lot of that requires multiple parties being involved. And we decided to start with a blockchain intervention that we could do on our own, a single party implementation. And what we're doing is we're using the public blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain in this case, to store hashes or keys to information that exists within our company.
Okay.
And so as a result, when we do something like we have a property inspection, or we complete a work order, or we approve a budget, we can take a snapshot of that information and store a hash of it on the blockchain. What that lets us do is be able to validate that information when we provide it to somebody else later. It basically gives us an immutable set of records about our properties and creates a digital version of those properties that other people can rely on because they're externally validated.
Now, I talk to a lot of people, and they're really speaking about these technologies as potential and futuristic things, and you are employing them currently, inventively. What is it about Boxer that puts you so far out on the edge? What is driving you to just say, I want to try it? I mean, it might not work. Mm-hmm. These things may have not worked. What is it about your company that makes you do that?
So many years ago, we decided that we were going to create a culture of innovation. That was going to be part of who we are, is we were going to try things, we were going to fail very often, but at least the pilots that we did would be limited in scope, and we would celebrate the failures as much as the successes.
Really?
So innovation is a very hot job title these days. It's a very hot topic. We've been taking this approach intentionally within the organization for many years, and it's led us into many different businesses, from software to hotels to restaurants to even a marketing company that we're starting. So I think that approach of saying this is part of who we are, this is part of our culture, we're gonna structure our business this way, and we're gonna reward and appreciate the things that we try, even if they don't always work, is a big part of what lets us do things like try these new technologies.
And I would assume a big reason for your success, because when you're constantly innovating, you end up discovering some of the most remarkable things. Is there any last idea that you would like to leave the Realcomm 2018 participants with as it pertains to you and what you do at Boxer?
Well, I'd say that we're a pretty open shop. We love to have people come and visit us. We love to talk to people. And especially I want to extend the invitation to the new group of innovation professionals who very often have been brought into a large organization and said, go do innovation. And the organization may or may not be ready to accept and internalize and embrace those innovations. We have a lot of ways that we've done that, and we're happy to share.
Thank you so much, Justin. What a pleasure.
All right, thank you.
Justin Segal from Boxer Property, letting us take a look at the bleeding edge of how this technology can actually be used with companies like his. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.